66 The Teachings of the Lord of the Second Coming. Section 3 The Providence of Restoration under the leadership of Jesus. In the beginning, Adam should have governed the angels 171. But due to his fall, human beings came under Satan's dominion and formed a hellish world. To restore this through indemnity, Jesus came as the second Adam to personally bring Satan to submission and establish the kingdom of heaven. However, Satan, who does not submit even to God, would by no means readily yield to Jesus and people of faith. Therefore, taking responsibility for having created human beings, God raised up Jacob and Moses and revealed through them the model course by which Jesus could subjugate Satan. 172. Jacob walked the symbolic course to bring Satan to submission, while Moses walked the image course. Their courses pioneered the way for Jesus to walk the actual course. In walking the worldwide course to restore Canaan, Jesus followed the model demonstrated in the national course to restore Canaan. When Moses was working to subjugate Satan, God told Moses, "I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brethren, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him." 173 By a prophet like you, God was referring to Jesus, who was to walk the same course Moses walked. When Jesus said, "The Son can do nothing of his own accord, but only what he sees the Father doing, for whatever he does, that the Son does likewise," 174. He meant that God had revealed the model course through Moses, and that he was following in Moses's footsteps. Let us examine the providence of restoration centered on Jesus, drawing relevant comparisons between the three national courses to restore Canaan under Moses's leadership, and the three worldwide courses to restore Canaan under Jesus' leadership. 3.1 The first worldwide course to restore Canaan. 3.1.1 The foundation of faith. In the first worldwide course to restore Canaan, the central figure entrusted with the mission to restore the foundation of faith was John the Baptist. From what position was John supposed to accomplish this mission? In the national course to restore Canaan under Moses's leadership, Moses broke the tablets of stone and struck the rock twice. This set up conditions for Satan to strike the body of Jesus' fulfillment of the tablets and the rock should the Jewish people of his day not believe in him. For Jesus to be released from this condition, the chosen people, entrusted with the mission to prepare for his coming, should have united around the temple, the image representation of the Messiah who was to come. However, over the years the Israelites repeatedly lapsed into faithlessness, and thus multiplied conditions for Satan to attack Jesus. To erase these conditions, God sent the prophet Elijah. Elijah worked to separate Satan by defeating the prophets of Baal and Asherah. 850 altogether, 175, and then ascended to heaven. 176 Yet, because Elijah did not complete his entire mission, he had to return. 177 John the Baptist was the prophet who came as Elijah. 178 to complete this unfinished mission to separate Satan and make straight the way of the Lord. 179 The Israelites had suffered hardships in Egypt for 400 years, without a prophet to guide them. They finally met Moses, the one man who could lead them into Canaan as a nation, in preparation to receive the Messiah. In a similar fashion, the Jewish people suffered all kinds of tribulations under the oppression of the Gentile nations of Persia, Greece, Egypt, Syria and Rome without a prophet to guide them. During the 400-year period of preparation for the advent of the Messiah, which began at the time of the prophet Malachi, 180 they finally met John the Baptist, the one man who could lead them to the Messiah, who was coming to restore Canaan worldwide. Thus, John the Baptist, like Moses, was called on the foundation of a 400-year period for the separation of Satan. Moses had learned to love his brethren and the traditions of his fathers while living in the Pharaoh's palace. Likewise, John the Baptist learned the way of faith and obedience to heaven, and made preparations for the Messiah, while living on locusts and wild honey in the wilderness. His life was so exemplary that many people, including the priests and Levites, wondered whether he might be the Messiah. 181 In this way, John the Baptist successfully established the dispensation of 40 for the separation of Satan, and was able to lay the foundation of faith for the first worldwide course to restore Canaan. 3.1.2 The foundation of substance. Since John the Baptist stood in the same position as Moses, he likewise stood in the dual positions of parent and child. From the position of parent, he restored through indemnity the foundation of faith. From the position of child, he secured the position of Abel. For the fulfillment of the indemnity condition to remove the fallen nature. 182 John the Baptist recovered a foundation on the world level, comparable to that of Moses when he laid the foundation of faith for the first national course. After 40 years inside the Pharaoh's palace, in Moses's day, God's desire at the first dispensation to start was that the Israelites develop trust in Moses when they witnessed him killing an Egyptian taskmaster. The Israelites were then to leave the satanic world of Egypt and travel to the land of Canaan. In John the Baptist's time, however, the Jewish people were not to leave the Roman Empire and set out for another land. They were to remain within the empire, win over its people, and restore the empire to God's side. God conducted the dispensation to start by encouraging the Jewish people to believe in John through the miracles surrounding his life. At John's conception, an angel gave a wondrous prophecy concerning the child. When his father Zechariah did not believe it, he was struck dumb, and his speech returned only after he circumcised and named the child. Through these and other miracles, the Israelites were convinced that John was a prophet sent by God. Fear came on all their neighbors, and all these things were talked about through all the hill country of Judea. And all who heard them laid them up in their hearts, saying, What then will this child be? For the hand of the Lord was with him. Luke chapters 165-66. Moreover, John led an illustrious life of prayer and asceticism in the wilderness, living on locusts and wild honey. The general public and even the priests admired him so highly that many thought he might be the Messiah. 183. When Moses finished the 40-year indemnity period in the Pharaoh's palace and killed the Egyptian, the Israelites should have been deeply inspired by his love for his people and followed him with faith. They would have then gone straight into Canaan, without having to cross the Red Sea or wander in the wilderness, and without need of the tablets of stone, the Ark of the Covenant or the tabernacle. Likewise, the Jewish people in Jesus' time were to believe in and follow John the Baptist, whom God had raised up through miracles and signs as the focus of their faith. Thus, they would fulfill the indemnity condition to remove the fallen nature and lay the foundation of substance, thereby immediately establishing the foundation for the Messiah. 3.1.3 The failure of the First Worldwide Course to restore Canaan. The Jewish people stood upon the foundation of faith laid by John the Baptist and followed John as if they were following the Messiah. 184 Thereupon, they brought an end to the Old Testament age and were ready to embark upon a new course to restore Canaan worldwide. Yet, as was explained earlier, 185 John the Baptist harbored doubts toward Jesus. Even though he had testified to him, he sent a delegation and asked Jesus, Are you he who is to come, or shall we look for another? 186 He denied that he was Elijah, even though he in fact came to fulfill Elijah's mission. 187 This not only blocked the Jewish people's path to Jesus, it even led them to oppose him. In effect, John left the position of Abel, depriving the Jewish people of the central person, with whom they could fulfill the indemnity condition to remove the fallen nature. This blocked their way to complete the foundation of substance, or the foundation for the Messiah. Consequently, the first worldwide course to restore Canaan was aborted. As was the case in Moses's days, it was prolonged to a second and then a third course.